And as we think about the needs of the small church, in terms of today, there are some very significant needs that we face. First of all, there is the need for revitalization. Because the small church has been neglected so in many ways over the years, there is a need now to revitalize the small church, to strengthen the small church, to get a greater understanding of the dynamics of the small church and respect for the small church. If we're to revitalize those in the smaller church, especially those in the rural areas. And how can we encourage them? How can we come alongside and help them? Secondly, we see a need for rural church planting and evangelism. The rural communities, the small communities, are not over-evangelized. And there is a need today to plant new churches in small communities. Because there are many small communities that do not have an evangelical witness. And yet 1/4 of the U.S. population lives in rural America today. And so there is a need now to expand that mission field. In fact, if we were to take rural America and bring them together, it would constitute the 23rd largest nation in the world today. And there's a need for evangelism in those areas. We also see a need for understanding of the small church culture. If we're to be effective in revitalizing the small church, if we're to be effective in evangelism in the context of the small church, we need to understand the nature of the small church. We need to understand how it operates and how it works so that we can go in there and be effective in ministry. And then we also need greater visibility of the small church, especially in terms of the educational programs of pastors today. That oftentimes pastors do not have an understanding of the small church, and so when they go out there, they try to minister from a mid to large church context, and as a result of that, it results in frustration on their part as well as frustration upon the part of the church. And so we need to raise the visibility of the small church and train individuals to go into the small church and minister effectively.